What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tac-Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Mumbai, Kutapi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles in Fort Lauderdale.
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Iconic or YouTube or Rockfin or listening wherever podcasts are served, we certainly do appreciate your support. We know you have a lot of choices out there. We couldn't do this show without the amazing support of our sponsor, My Patriot Supply. They've even created our own little website for us, which is kind of nice. Just go to preparewithmacroaggressions.com and take a look at everything that they have. They have air purification, water filtration, emergency survival food. I just did an episode on sprouting seeds and stuff like that. Like I'm a farmer, like I know what I'm talking about, which I don't. But look, My Patriot Supply has all of this stuff there. And if 2020 hasn't shown you, you got to get prepared for the unknown, well, then I don't know if I can help you. So go to preparewithmacroaggressions.com. Supporting My Patriot Supply works to support the show, and we certainly do appreciate that. Well, I'll tell you what. About 2 years ago, I went to an Acapulco for the first time. Had the pleasure of, I kind of consider it to be like the all-star, like the Super Bowl of the alternative media. And I got to meet a lot of people that I knew online, a lot of people that I recognized online. And one of my favorites is our guest today, Mr. Ole Dammegard. Ole, it's nice to talk to you over Zoom, but I'd prefer to be that we were at the Princess Munda Hotel in the center bar talking about Gladio till about 2:30 in the morning, like we did one time back then. How are you, buddy? Good to see you again.
I'm doing absolutely super duper. Really good to see you again.
Good to see you. Well, it's not Mexico, but it's the next best thing. And I guess over the last, over the last 20 years, I have been, filling my little brain with as much information as I can get about a variety of things. And one of the topics that fascinated me, but I have to admit, I didn't know a whole lot about it early on, was the concept of false flags. And when a lot of us that get into this, alternative media, truth community, however you want to define it, you wind up learning about or studying false flags. And when you get to that point in the syllabus, when you're studying false flags, it will lead you to Ole Dammegard. It will absolutely lead you to Ole's work. So, and when you were at an Acapulco, it was great to see you on stage for an hour. But let's be honest. I mean, an hour, you're just getting warmed up. You need like a David Icke set. You need like a 4-hour set. You know, remember when he was sweating through his shirt after like the 3rd hour? I could envision you up there drawing parallels and everything. You really, it's hard to unpack a lot of these concepts and just over the course of an hour. We have an hour here. We're going to try and do the best that we can. So I'm curious now. So let's start. I don't know. Let's start with something relatively recent. And you and Jason Goodman have been doing really phenomenal work on Las Vegas. And I lived in Las Vegas for 9 years, moved away before the shooting and everything. But this is a weird one for a lot of people because it was everywhere on the news, main headline for obvious reasons. Then it just up and vanished. What is the situation with what makes the Las Vegas event so unusual from the others? Why did it just disappear? It seemed like it had the opportunity to be used for all sorts of agendas, and yet it just kind of disappeared off the media landscape.
Or did it?
Ooh, or did it? Okay.
Do you know, with false flag operations, they very often use templates, and it's recycling crap over and over, the same script, the same blah, 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 blah. And then we came to Las Vegas. And that, for me, is an area where I'm still confused because I am not sure of what actually occurred. And I think it's a case of the classic major operation, which is multiple operations going on at the same time, deliberately made to create absolute confusion, where even the players that are taking part of these operations are not aware of the other operations, meaning it will lead in all different directions. And the reason for that is because you are trying to cover something, you're carrying out operation that gives you some kind of gain in your agenda, but at the same time, there's a bigger picture that is hidden. And so when people ask me about Las Vegas, I say time out right away because I don't know. Normally, I'm pretty sure of what I find and that I can come to pretty sure conclusions. This one, I have speculations that I can bring forward, but I can absolutely not say for sure that was what happened.
That's okay.
What I can.
That's okay with us because if we talk this thing out and try and get to that, because that was what was confusing me about Las Vegas, is the intersection of what appears to be a couple different operations maybe running simultaneously to me I haven't been able to put my finger on it either. And it's a shooting. It happens in a town where I still work there. I still go to Las Vegas all the time. And so it should be at the top of my list. And yet for whatever reason, I can't seem to figure it out either. And
so join the club.
Okay.
Good. Confused individuals.
Good.
There are, if it's okay that I speculate, I'm going to go in all different directions.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I can tell you is the official story, absolute bullshit. I mean, there's not a single word that has been uttered that is true. It was packed with a lot of crisis actors where they were being reused. They were at the Thousand Oaks borderline shooting as well. About 50 of them were being reused there. There were, some of my absolute favorite crisis actors. I love them. They're so bad at what they're doing. It's just hilarious. But the reason for that is because all the good ones are already being used from they were children, especially in your country, where it's like, if you have any kind of talent as a young kid, you're in commercials from the age of 4. So you can't really use these people that have been saying, eat peanut one day, and then I'm half dead by a bullet hole through my head the next day, because without people saying, isn't that the peanut guy? So it's like, so what have they got? They got the rest of they had to scrape it off the surface of any kind of talent for crisis actors. And then to keep the parameters as safe as possible, they recycle them, they reuse them in different shapes and forms, and it doesn't make them any better. It's just make my smile thing go bigger and bigger, because I love when I recognize them. Hello, Nancy, here you go again. Nice wig, by the way. And this nose job, I don't think anyone is going to buy it. You know, that type of thing. But Las Vegas, here is a different one, because what actually happened there, it's very, very tricky, because also what they build in these psychological operations are speculation about false flags. So that people like us become confused as well. So that when you have, for instance, well, this witness saw that and then he ended up dead. That sort of confirms for the most of us, like, okay, then they must have taken him out because he knew something. Or it was just another red herring to lead us off the track. Welcome to the world of absolute psyops, where it's like smoke and mirrors. Have you been into one of these labyrinth thing with mirrors? Yeah. And then add some smoke. Welcome to my world. This is what the hell, and that's the world of intelligence agency, marketing agents, all of these things where they mix it together, turn it upside down. Where behind the mirror, it's like this. All of it to create confusion, and at the same time having multiple different agendas being carried out, where we are looking here trying to get up, can understand the confusion. And maybe the whole thing happened in Denver, Colorado. Do you know what I'm saying? It could be a massive diversion. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody looks that way. Nobody looks at Denver or Tucson or Syria or whatever. We're totally focused. Like when you have to see how these operations are carried out. Diversion is one key element. It's like, boom, everybody looks to the left, and actually it's carried out on them. So when it says boom, in media, for instance, did Monica Lewinsky give Clinton a blowjob or not? For months, it's like diversion. People are, what? And actually it's happening here. So it says boom, everybody looks that way. I'm looking this way. Gotcha. What the hell is going on here? Yeah. And so with Las Vegas, I mean, I can tell you that it was part of what I call the global tour of terror. Yes. Because in it, one of the things that I specialize is finding the hidden clues in the forensic evidence, that which they leave there for bizarre reasons. I'm going to tell you now. In the fall of 2014, I was contacted by an insider, anonymous person. No idea who it is. And he said to me, you are doing great. I've been following you for years. You're doing good, but you miss out on the clues. And I was like, what do you mean, clues? And he said, they hide clues about upcoming attacks in the forensic evidence. And I was like, that sounds to me like a load of bull. Why on earth would they do such a stupid thing? And he said, it's not stupid at all. It's totally based on selfish desires and greed. And I was very confused. So I said, please explain. He said, the people that are carrying out, now we're talking about, I think, both on a street level, but also higher up in the power pyramid. What he said was that they are carrying out so much mayhem. A small little group are responsible for so much horror and pain and destruction in this reality that they are freaking out when it comes to the law of karma. What you do comes back to you. And for them, this law is very, very real, apparently, to this insider. So he said what they do is they leave hidden clues with the intention of, if they show you even in subtle ways and you do not react, we do not react, then that indirectly means that we consent to what they're doing. And then the bad karma is on our shoulders, not theirs. And he said, in addition, if that was not enough, he said, the way they see it, if they show us, even in subtle ways, we do not react, indirectly consent, and they manage to pull it off right in front of our eyes, boom, like this, then it even adds good karma on their part. And I was like, that is bizarre. That is, it's still a weird way of seeing it. But if it's their truth and they're the ones carrying it out, I'm going to have a look. Mm-hmm. So this was the fall of 2014, and I was like, who is this guy? I have no idea, and I'm being contacted by many people, some fantastic, some very weird, I can tell you that. And in this bizarre world of tinfoil hats and very informed individuals and intelligence agents and real, it's like my life is a wee bit bizarre at times. So I was like, I don't know, but so I just put it in. I'm constantly putting things, anything that happens, I bring everything down, all the photos I can find, all the videos, even things that it goes totally against what I believe happened. I gather that as well, so that I have the whole spectrum, so I can see, what is happening here. Is the official story true? Does that really match up, or is there something else going on? And I say more or less 99% of the times, something bizarre is going on. So after that, it's a long story, but in January 2015, after the Charlie Hebdo thing happened in Paris, then that was the first time when I saw that there was multiple leads to different things. And so after Charlie Hebdo happened, that was the second one that I found. And in this case, there were leads pointing towards Copenhagen. And since there's always a drill involved in these false flag operations, the drill is there to get everything in position, do rehearsals, the vehicles in position, explosives, smoke bombs, crisis actors, the whole thing with makeup artists and dressing, catering, showers, all of these things it's a film set. It is a film set, or a theater group, a mobile theater group, where instead of them performing We Don't Need No Education, if it was the case of Pink Floyd, here the product is not Coca-Cola, it's fear, it's terror. All the product that they're pumping out there for a global audience, they don't care about people in Paris or London. It's not them these so-called attacks are aimed at. It's to go global, to freak the global population out with random acts of violence. It's all according to the CIA's strategy of tension, which they've been carrying out since the 50s and onwards. Yeah. So anyway, it was the first time when I thought, oh my God, if I'm correct in what I'm seeing here, Copenhagen would be the next target. So I went out on social media saying, please, is anyone aware of in central Copenhagen if there's going to be some kind of security drill within the near future? It took about an hour, and a guy contacted me on Facebook saying, I heard the show you did, and he said, could this be what you're looking for? And he had taken a photo of a poster where a woman in a uniform, cute, the lady was saying, tonight we're going to have this security exercise drill at this train station in central Copenhagen. I was like, oh my holy Jesus, that is fitting in perfectly. So I went out on some big shows in the US, I think 2 or 3 of them, and saying, I don't know. This is what I've been informed about, and this ticks a lot of the boxes. So if anyone who's living or is located in central Copenhagen sees anything unusual, please take photos, please film whatever. And also in the area where this drill is going to go down, take photos of everything, including trees, fences, whatever, parked cars, things that doesn't look suspicious at all. I mean, see it as you got some kind of nerd in the background who is obsessed with details. Mm-hmm. So, because if something goes down, then a photo of a door, for instance, that is later blown up to smithereens, if I know what that door looked like before, I can compare and see, okay, does that match up? That tree, was that actually a tree, or was it something that's suddenly moved 5 feet to the left? Because sometimes they have like theater props where explosives are hidden in, or parking meters that is actually not a parking meter, but the explosives are hidden inside, or the smoke bombs and so on. So if there's suddenly an extra one standing there, it's like, whoa, wait a second, does that match up with the other? So in on Google Map, compare them. And this one, it stands out. It's like, what is that manufacturing? It's like an American fact, an Israeli, surprise, surprise. Do you know these type of things where it's like, anything can be of interest. So I ask people to just tick, 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 absolute meaningless photos of anything in the area. Because the whole idea is if we see what they're up to before they even pull it off, we can be part of stopping it. Because these individuals are like criminals. They can only function in the dark or in the shadows. So if we aim the light, that's why my website is Light on Conspiracies, aim the light of truth at them, and you neutralize them in a totally nonviolent way, but they cannot move. They cannot pull it off. If enough of us are seeing, it's like catching a bank robber. He's in a dark vault, you know, and he's sitting there on his own, like trying to open the safe, and suddenly somebody switches on like 50 spotlights and he suddenly finds himself surrounded by 250,000 people saying, "We see you." That's game over for that dude, including that we see who it is. So from then on, sorry, Mr. Bank Robber, you are going to have a bit of a tricky future. And that's what I see. Anyway, so I predicted that thing in Copenhagen. I went out and said, "This is what I see. I have no idea. This is what I see. Please stay alert." And then that very evening, when I thought it was going to go down, when that drill was, absolutely nothing happened.
Right.
So I thought I was wrong. I looked like an idiot. Not a problem. Not the first time. At least I did what I did. I tried. Nobody got hurt. Nothing. Okay, so I was wrong. Not a problem. And then exactly 1 month later, on Valentine's, the 15th of February, this exact location, the exact timing, boom, the mass shooting in Copenhagen. So I was like, I'm onto something here. Like, how the hell could I predict? I wouldn't say but how could this, how what I found was a pointer that I found. That is 3, because it was the first one that I was made aware of was Dublin, then Paris happened, then Copenhagen, and there was a 4th sort of pointer, and that was towards Florence, Italy. Mm-hmm. So I went out big time and said, please be aware in Florence, same thing there. If I'm correct, something is going to go down there within a few days. And 5 days later, there was a big article in the Italian newspapers saying ISIS just failed an attack on Florence in Italy. So I thought, wow, that's 4 out of 4. I am onto something thanks to this insider. Had he not said anything, I would never, ever even have thought of it. So people who say, oh, you're amazing, I'm just informed.
Yeah.
So, and from then on, I've been, when something happens or before it happens, I'm in there digging for the clues. Everybody else is looking at, was it Muhammad Allah or Lukovap Allah, or checking out what kind of suitcase, I'm looking at forensic evidence. Where is it? Where is it? I know if these are the culprits, there will be a clue. And I found it over and over and over again. So up to today's date, if I have been correct every single time, and very often I get confirmation afterwards, more and more from people on the inside or people that have been prepared as patsies without knowing it and then found out. If I have been correct in every, I'm up to 61 now that I predicted up to 2 months before they actually happened on international radio. So the track record is pretty good, meaning that what I observe has been a correct observation multiple times. And these individuals are not known to be multifaceted brain-wise. It's very strict thinking. And also, it's like, how do you do variations if you have to do the same theme? It's like, how many Rocky movies can you film and still make it interesting? It's like, I feel sorry for them sometimes because they're locked into a script where the end result needs to be fear. How can we keep scaring them, with the same terror attack or mass shooting or financial crash or virus? These are sort of the four different ones they got in modern day times. So not easy. And they're not very good at it either. And then we come back to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I remember this because, first of all, I remember your Copenhagen predictions. I remember when you were talking about that, I was like, oh shit, he's onto something here. He's over the target. And then it went on and on and on, and you did more and more. And then we got to the sweatpants. the Las Vegas sweatpants. And I went, okay, hang on a second here. Now we've got, I mean, it's always one thing. People say, well, if you're so good, you can analyze these events and determine if they're false flags and everything. But if you're really good, you'll get one before it happens. Then I'll believe you. And I thought, well, yeah, that would be something, huh? And then I see you out there talking about the clues from the previous events being like breadcrumbs leading you to the future. And then it sort of incorporates with what you're talking about. If you're a maniac that's job in life is to go around on this world tour conducting false flags, at some point you're probably going to try and entertain yourself. I mean, as if the bombs and everything aren't entertaining enough, but you're going to probably have a system where you're putting a little something in there just as a nod to your buddies or to your friends or the community in which you operate. And you're going to do something like put a girl in a pair of sweatpants that says Las Vegas right up the leg and then do something in Las Vegas a couple of weeks later. Are you not?
I tell you, that one was one of the ones that I did not find myself. It was an Australian guy who had been following me.
Oh, I remember. And he's got a funny name.
Yeah, Anaconda. Come on. Mal Anaconda, something like that.
Yeah.
Anaconda Mal, something like. And he was also the guy that invented the term Dammegarding, or hashtag Dammegard, which is exactly people, because so many people are getting really, really sharp at finding these clues now, which is amazing, because this is one of the things I've been focused on, trying to expose the templates that are being used, the lingo that is being used among the operators that are carrying it out, the modus operandum, how they carry them out, what is involved, what type of vehicles, what type of this, what type of that, so more and more of us can sort of see, oh my God, this one ticks all the boxes, and then act, because the whole idea is to stop this madness. In my world, it's not a matter of being right or wrong. No. It's a matter of let's transcend this madness, because the consequences, good or bad, carried out. I mean, even really low key, awful productions of fear porn are still causing the solutions that are all the same, all the time the same. It's problem, reaction, solution, but it's problem, reaction, fascism. So it's like that is what is happening every single time. Boom, boom, boom. Is it true or is it not? Doesn't matter, because boom, there are more surveillance cameras, more Robocops, more tanks in the streets, more forced vaccinations, more, you name it. It's because of all of these operations. So back to Las Vegas. Yeah. And one other thing that I found there was the clue for the Parkland high school shooting in the Las Vegas one. So just to show you how they work, because if there is a clue that was pointed out beforehand and then another operation happened, you have to see there is a connection. It's not just randomly. If I pinpoint that one and boom, it happens, there is a distinct connection, meaning it's the same rock band that played there who's performing there as well. Especially, and this is the thing that gives me credibility, when I pointed out like way ahead saying it's going to happen there, and then it happens, that is a bit tricky to have a dialogue about or being criticized about, because it was dead on. And then it happened. How the hell am I sitting here with a crystal ball, or like what's going on? No, it's just I found the connecting dots. Yeah. So in the Las Vegas shooting, because that is a perfect example of how they work, it's normally in one photo in among hundreds or thousands of photos and videos. It can be, like you said, a pair of sweatpants. It can be a bus in the background with a banner on the side that just passes. So you have to go frame by frame. It can be multiple clues that are hidden so that it will lead you one place where the next clue is, where you be led to the next place where the next clue is. And then they also got option A, B, C, D, and so on. Should it be exposed? Should A be exposed? Then they activate option B. Should option B be exposed? Then they activate option C, which is where I feel indirectly responsible, for instance, for the Stockholm truck attack, because we found the clues and it was pointing straight to central Copenhagen, and I had a team on location that was just waiting for it to happen. We saw it all unfold. They started, because I pointed it out, and people were there with cameras, and then we started seeing the signs. They started rerouting the bus traffic. There were these roadworks coming up. There were all of these, and it was in live time. I didn't sleep for 2-3 days, I think, and I was sitting like a hop in the middle, and we just saw the sign. Now, it's gonna happen. Now, it's on standby. Like we just heard. It was on like we heard background action and action. We were waiting for that, and right when we were waiting for it to happen, it occurred in Stockholm instead. And I really think that we were responsible for we cannot do it. There's too many people being aware of it. We need to relocate and activate option B. And boom, they went nearby and they went to Stockholm instead.
Wow.
So in Las Vegas, one of the odd things, normally you only see blurred images of so-called victims. You have the catwalk of death. Somebody is walking around filming people that have been hit by a truck or whatever. It's always super blurry. It's like an old VHS copy of an Austrian porn movie or something like that.
Right.
You can't even use a cell phone nowadays without a filter to get such bad quality. And then people say, well, it's because they uploaded on the internet. Even if you upload it with the lowest resolution, you don't get that type of blurry images. I mean, you really have to do a hell of a job to mess it up that bad. And so they very rarely show horrific images of dead bodies, also for the official concern of the family and friends and so on. So, and then in this case, suddenly this guy who's claimed to have done this incredible stunt of where it didn't match up at all, including carrying up, I think, more than 30 different heavy machine guns and all type of things through into a hotel where top security is on guns, for one thing, because people that are maybe losing a lot of money could get pissed off. So it wouldn't be a good idea if they were armed at a roulette table and saying, you fucker, I'm gonna nail you.
Right.
So they are very aware there's a lot of money in circulation in that city. Specifically, it is also a city that is mob controlled and built by the mob. They know violence. They know the power of guns, so they avoid them from normal people. And here we're being told, well, he just went multiple times through the kitchen entrance or something like that. Okay, so you trust the kitchen personnel. Is this in an area like that? Would you trust specifically the people that is working in the kitchen? Really? I don't think so. Anyway, but he managed to do that, and the whole thing doesn't match up at all.
Right.
So we have this image of what was his name, Stephen Paddock, who officially, one of the things, he had the number 13 tattooed on his neck here. That's one of the things about him. It was mentioned multiple times. You very often have numerology in these operations as well. And 13, 33 of these numbers, 666 and 911, 711 are numbers that keep recurring. So the number 13 is of certain interest. And also you look at the photos we were shown of this guy, very odd, because many of them didn't really match up, and there were weird things around them, especially the ones where he's standing next to his Filipino girlfriend with his eyes closed, and you start looking, and it's totally manipulated, because you've got the exact same photo, one photo there when he's standing like that, and suddenly there's an arm with a drink, where you can just see really crude edges, really bad Photoshop job, right? And the same photo. And then you start looking at the shirt, and it doesn't match up. The whole pattern on the shirt doesn't match up. Then you start seeing the shadows. Apparently he was lying down, maybe in a morgue, where you took a photo of this dead body. I compared it with dead bodies from mob photos and mob things like that. Very similar. And then you just put it like that. add the girlfriend, who is totally not the girlfriend that steps forward in the media saying, I'm the media. They're not even the same age. And then you see the photo of someone, it's not even cropped the same way in his elbow. It's so manipulated. But
is that do you think that's intentional in a way to put a sloppy one out there?
I mean, at one point in Sweden, I almost went to the Secret Service, the secret police in Sweden, saying, listen, guys, really, is this the best you can do? I'm pretty skilled with Photoshop. It just because I got so frustrated with them, I was like almost offering my services. Please, I know what to look out for. You know, I can do a better job because what you're doing, come on, really? Right. But it's like at the same time, if that is how they show us that these things are not real in subtle ways and we do not react, they have to make it, for us to see, but at the same time not notice. That's the whole idea. Mm. A perfect CIA operation, if we're talking about the sea, is something we don't even understand happened. That we didn't even know that it was an operation. That is a perfect one. These ones are the exact opposite. They have to have things that is not perfect. Otherwise, we would just think, oh my God, it happened. So they're in a tricky situation because how to do it so we see it, but without seeing it. Do you follow my way of thinking? Yeah. So I don't know. Are they doing it on purpose? I can tell you they're not very skilled. If they were, I wouldn't find these things either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because he's got his last name is Paddock, which is a corral where you keep all the sheep. This is happening in front of the Luxor Hotel. And for those that are interested in occult symbology, that place is dripping with it. It was literally in front of an obelisk. And there's a pyramid like right behind it. I mean, it's like all they needed was an all-seeing eye, and they had the whole New World Order starter pack for symbolism. And then you've got the country music component and all these people out there, and you've got shooting coming from one direction, which, like you said, is if the shooting is supposed to be coming from there, then in theory, we should be looking the opposite way. Now we've got John Cullen coming on with Jason Goodman talking about helicopters being used and folding these helicopters up and putting them in 18-wheelers and driving them up. Jesus. Then you hear the stories of, the Saudis' involvement in this maybe. And then it seemed like a mess to me. And I can accept that it was a mess with a lot of things going on. The one thing that the thing that threw me off the hardest of all of these things was just the fact that the media pretended like it didn't happen after a couple of months. Here, at least here in the United States, you would think that would be talked about all the time. Never forget, all that stuff. Even when I go to Vegas, I've gone back in Mandalay Bay. I've been back in Luxor. I've been in those places. There's no signs of it. There's no memorial. There's no shrine. There's no never forget. There's none of that. It's almost like the motto is forget. Forget all this stuff happened. Forget that there was a shooting. Forget that nobody was held accountable. Forget that the story didn't add up. Forget that you've got eyewitnesses saying I was getting shot at by somebody on the ground. And they're saying, well, how do you know that? Well, when the bullets were whizzing by my ear, I could tell that the trajectory was coming from somebody behind me. And they're like, oh, interesting. But the guy's room is up there, the other direction. They're like, I don't know what to tell you. Someone was behind shooting at me. And you're like, interesting. So I do know from being in Las Vegas, I do know people that were there. I know people that, said that it was a real thing in terms of bullets flying and things like that. That's one of the few where I even acknowledged that there was even real, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's one of those ones where I assumed when I saw it, I thought this looks a little fake. Like I wouldn't be surprised if nobody died. Well, then I start to hear that people actually did. So Vegas happens. It's this big thing. But then you said that you found a little thread that pointed you to Parkland. What was that? Yeah.
Okay, so I totally agree with you. This is so different than other operations because I believe that there were people killed. I believe there were multiple shooters, and I believe that we were fed the official story bullshit, then the false flag operation official version that we could come to that conclusion bullshit, because that was also diversion. And then there was something else going on, multiple different operations at the same time. This was a tricky one. This was so I'm happy you pointed out, and I wish I could be more specific, which I'm going to be. Okay. But I'm going to come to the clues, because in this case, from never seeing anything really, we suddenly have this photo of him having blown his brains out, a very grotesque photo of the body like this, with big pool of blood behind his head. The gun is there. The carpet is all sprayed or sprinkled with empty shells. And so suddenly this photo is like, whoa. What happened here? How come that they're putting this gross image out? So that was what caught my attention to it. And then I started looking at it, and the more I zoomed in, because this was high quality as well. Normally they're very blurry. It's very pixelated. This one was super sharp, but also there was no digital data in the photo. Because sometimes, or most of the times with a normal photo, you can go in, you can see the date. If you start checking the digital date, you can see the date, where it was taken, what photo, what camera, all of nothing. So these are normally signs of that somebody has taken a photo of a screen to avoid that whole thing happening, and then they publish it as a screenshot instead. So they go around this. So that one I thought, whoa, sharp, but not from a camera. This is one of the things. Hello. So also the 13 was missing. He had different types of earlobes, didn't match up with the gay. And then I zoomed in and I started noticing it looked like some of the empty shells were blanks. Some of the blanks that you buy are sort of with a special machine pushed together, because there's no projectile. It's just the powder load that is in it. And some of them looked like that. So I thought, whoa. And then they say that he was using all of these different automatic weapons. I think the reason that he had multiple different weapons was because whatever type of bullets that were found on the crime scene, you could blame it on him. Had he had 30 different weapons, whatever was found, well, it was him. Right. Otherwise he would just have had one. I'm going to come back to why that happened. So it said that he was and then he said, fuck this, I'm going to kill myself. And he took a revolver and then committed suicide. So the revolver was lying in the photo at the top. So none of the empty shells would be from the revolver. Had it been a pistol? Yeah. So when you see that behind his head, there's a big pile of blood. It's in two layers. One that looks almost like it's dried into the carpet, and another one that looks like ketchup, like really thick. And if you've seen photos from people who have committed suicide, especially head injuries, not a pretty sight. And there's a lot of different tissues and other types of fluid than blood. Doesn't match up at all. So I started looking at the empty shells, and especially the ones in the pool of blood. They should have been sprayed by the blood, or they should have been sort of covered with blood, because they were lying around his head, but they were not. So I felt these have been placed afterwards. They've just been sprinkled on the crime scene, to make it add to the effect here. So I thought, whoa, this photo is interesting. So I noticed that the carpet, it looks awful. It's gray. It looks super dirty with like black, like striped type of things. And I thought, this is a high class hotel. Why would they? This looks like some kind of junk, like in a ghetto somewhere. So I was looking at the carpet and I thought, that is a very strange choice of carpet for such a hotel. And then I started seeing that it almost looked like letters on the carpet, with the stripes on the carpet and then the empty shells. So I thought I saw like an F, and then the carpet had sort of like an arrow. So I started seeing it looked like an F, a stripe from the carpet with two empty shells and an arrow. So I started looking more and more, and then it looked like FLL, was the letters that, and I was like, FLL, that is the letter combination for the Fort Lauderdale Airport, which is also called Hollywood, which is also the airport where there was a false flag operation that led me to the Melbourne car attack, that led me to the Westminster Bridge attack. So I thought, whoa, FLL, are you kidding me? Because, Las Vegas, Nevada, why would anything with Florida be there? So I was really getting into this whole thing. And I went out in certain interviews and saying, I think I'm onto something. I don't know really what, but this is what I found. And it feels to me like it's pointing towards somewhere around the Fort Lauderdale airport. And so I was contacted by a woman who said, have you noticed the shape of the blood? And I said, no. And she said, it is an identical copy of the county where I live in Florida. I was like, what? We're now talking about the ketchup part of the blood. Mm-hmm. And she said, so I said, where is that? So she gave me the map coordinate, what do you call it? The location, exact location. I checked it out. It was almost exactly that. So, and it was just north of Fort Lauderdale Airport. So I thought, that is interesting. That is super interesting. So I went out and said, I truly believe that the next one is going to be somewhere in this area. I made a circle like this, somewhere in this area. I don't know where, I don't know when, but somewhere around. I had hardly gone out and said it's going to here, and boom, the Parkland, Florida high school shooting happened, which was right on the outskirts of that. I had missed it with a few miles. Wow. And that whole thing was a massive diversion away from Las Vegas also, because they need to shake us, divert us away, because when people like you and I are getting too nosy, they need to move the attention away, throw us a bone, and we go, oh my God, I need to focus on that one now. And then after a week, you forgot. So there was a lot of boom, 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 boom going on. So it's like, what? And we forgot. Many of us forgot. So that one with the whole David Hogg type of thing with all of these, that one is a massive, massive psychological operation that led to the whole March for Our Lives, where I even, I got a friend of mine to contact Homeland Security asking about the permission for the March for Our Lives, that whole thing that they organized like this. How the hell? I don't know where you live, but to get a permission like that in the capital, Washington, D.C., with hundreds of thousands of people involved, with stages, catering, bus things, hotel preparing, just to get the permission, for you to build a doghouse, I'm sure you would have to wait 6 weeks at least in your local county. And here, boom, within a month, it was there. So I was like, how the hell did that happen? So I had a friend of mine, since I know that my name is not the most popular in these circles, contact the Homeland Security. And this police officer, who was very kind, I don't know if he knew what he was actually revealing, but he said, yes, thank you for your email regarding the permit of this and this. It had been prepared for several months before this whole thing, and this and this, and several months before. And I was just, this is the best smoking gun ever. No, not really. I've found some other really good ones, but this was a good one straight from them. So I went out big time with a copy of this email saying, dear Mr. Officer, this and this, thank you so much. And should anything happen to you or your career, please know that it's because of this. So I was trying to protect his integrity, because maybe he even revealed this information for the benefit of humanity, Mm-hmm. So anyway, this started, it went viral, it went everywhere, because it was a dead giveaway that they had been, the permission was given months before the shooting even occurred. You see, that is a bit of a tricky one to explain.
You got it.
So, and the producer was this Israeli woman who's also the producer of Dances with Stars. I think that is the TV hit show, whatever. Yeah. Dana, something I can't remember now. But anyway, so there were dead perfect connections between the Las Vegas and the Parkland High School shooting. And in the Parkland High School shooting, I found pointing towards Dallas, where there was going to be a big drill pulled off at the Majestic Theater on Elm Street, of all streets, just a stone thrown away from where Kennedy was shot. So I pointed out with the date and everything, it's going to happen in conjunction with this drill. Or there was also, they were interviewing at the Parkland, Florida shooting, they were interviewing 2 women who had been at the Fort Lauderdale airport shooting. So I recognized them. Thank you so much. In on stage again. Mm-hmm. There you go. Now they were mothers to teenage boys. And they were saying, oh, it's so awful. We witnessed 2 of these emotional traumas, you know. And then they interviewed her son, and his name was Austin, you know. So, and the way he was speaking, he was also standing in sort of like a young army cadet type of shirt, you know, mm-hmm. with the cuffs and the whole thing. And his name was Austin. So Dallas. So when I pointed out, I said, Dallas, should that be exposed, it will happen in Austin. That was my prediction. I went out and said this. So Dallas didn't happen. The drill took place. Dallas didn't happen. And instead we had a series of bombs going off in Austin, Texas. What do you know? So same procedure as last, you know, over and over again. So back to Las Vegas. What I think is, do you know, people that are very rich are also very bored. And they are thrill seekers, many of them. They are bored to tears. They bought everything. What do you need? Another yacht? Yeah, I'll get you one. How long do you want it? Like 1,500 feet or whatever. Is it big enough? It's never big enough. It's just boring. They go casinos. They do this. They've done it all. Let's do that. You know, fly to the moon. Yeah, I can sort it out. And then what? They're bored to tears. Yeah. So they're looking for thrill, and they're into high-stake gambling, some of them, but also gaming, you know, shooting the big 5. So what do you do when you shot the big 5? What is next?
You look for the big 6th, the 6th one, human beings, right?
And here we come into a very bizarre area of human hunting, mm-hmm. which is something that has been spoken about by witnesses for a long time, where people like Bush Sr. and Kissinger and these other cute guys have been witnessed to take part of these games, where people that have been abducted are let free, you know, and then it's up for, just like when they're hunting fox in England, mm-hmm. they just exchange the target to human beings. And when you talk to assassins, real assassins, they say many of them don't use drugs or anything because they feel that it's the highest thrill. It's the same with serial killers. It's the highest thrill that they've ever had is when they feel the power over somebody else, a human being's life or death. Mm-hmm. And so then you have death pool betting, which is betting on the exact time of somebody's death. Yes. And the healthier this person is, all of that, the higher the stakes. You know, if you look healthy, the chances of you dying naturally will be like in 30 years. So if you say it's going to be tomorrow, the odds will be, if it happens, you will get a lot. Mm-hmm. And this is something that is growing massively on the internet and the dark net. Then you got what is called the Illuminati card games, which is a very, 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 very interesting card game that was made. It's packed with Illuminati symbolism. And the last edition was printed in 1995. And in these cards, there are all of these things that then happens, like 9/11, like Diana. Diana was 94. But anyway, so many of these things, including Trump and including viruses and so many of it is in that card game.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how is it possible that how could they predict these things? You know, it's amazing. They could see into the future. They had a crystal ball. How could they do it? So I've been sort of turning it around, because when you read the manual, it's about world domination. And the thing is that you put in what is called MB, which is megabucks, and you play cards, and there's a whole strategy. And I don't really understand these games. I haven't really got into it. But so I put forward the speculation. I'm totally speculating now, that is it possible that instead of them printing a nice card in 95 and then boom, 9/11 happens with the exact location of the explosions and all of these, is that just like, wow, this must be magical? How? Is it possible that it's the other way around? That actually the players who have megabucks to play, that they actually have this global game going on, where, for instance, a Saudi prince say, I want to play this card, like 9/11. Let's just, for instance, I'm going to put in like 40 trillion blah, 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 whatever, to play this card to add to the whole game thing. But then when you put your stakes on that card, that has then to be carried out in real life.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So in that, there was also a card for the Las Vegas one that included the tattoo of the country singer that was on stage when the shooting occurred. This was printed 1995. So, and also you had the Can girls, the whole thing with some roulette things as well in one card. Is it possible that some bizarre individual somewhere played that card and say, in this whole game that is much bigger than just one incident, saying, I'm going to put like $40 trillion on this card to accomplish whatever. But then part of playing the card is on performing it in real life. So you have to fund the backing of that event to play the card. So it unfolds. And then maybe you have death pool betting in the background saying, okay, in this shooting, I put my bet on 58 dead people, or, and then you place out shooters to see, because it's random. You fire into a crowd, so you don't know for sure how many. So you have death pool betting going on as well. And maybe you are even one of the shooters, the thrill-seeking individual on the top of the pyramid. You pay extra to be on the top of the pyramid than if you're down on the ground level, or you can get the extra thrill shooting machine gun from the helicopter. And that company already exists in Las Vegas. You can rent the helicopters with massive big machine guns on the side, and you could see it being filmed around the area if you can trust these images of the helicopter. But you can see there's film footage where there's a helicopter and you can see lights coming, strobe lights or gun flames. But if that is, it would make sense to me that would be an extra bonus. If you put in another billion, whatever, you will get a helicopter to get the extra thrill of down into the crowd. But you have to divert the attention away from this human hunting because you can't just do it, because then people would be offended. You just killed 58 people. Come on. This is not okay. So you have to divert the attention away. What do they point at? A lone crazy guy. Always. So that was it. Then you have the whole Saudi thing with I have no idea. but you had the morgues was shut down, and something bizarre went down here. Absolutely bizarre. So I think my speculation is that it was a multi-layered human hunting experience, Illuminati card being played out as part of the New World Order agenda, megabucks involved, and a psyop. I'm pretty sure there's a heist hidden in this as well, because this is so money-oriented, the location, that in the middle of all of this, I'm pretty sure that millions or billions of dollars suddenly moved out in the dark, or whatever you would see, like maybe a truck that just disappeared in the horizon in the background with no one really understanding, maybe tax fraud, maybe, any type of thing like that. And also among the real victims would be people that they would very much like to get rid of, like their competitors or whatever, for whatever reason, or somebody's wife had cheated with her lover, so the lover just happens to end up with a bullet hole in his head as cover-up, is part of being covered up, the whole thing. So I think there was multiple things going down that day in a very specific death altar ceremony in front of the obelisk and the pyramid, which is so Freemasonic and satanic. I mean, you cannot go any more than that. But how to cover it up without us really noticing that it was right in front of a pyramid and an obelisk. I mean, you can't make it more obvious. So you have to divert the attention away. So there was a lot of crisis actors involved in the rehearsal, I think, which was probably filmed a day or two beforehand, where you can see where people are standing up, drinking beer while being shot at. I don't think so. I mean, it's not the last time somebody shot at me. I was sort of like, let's take cover.
Let's get down.
Pleasant. Let's get down.
I can have this beer, but I'm going to have this beer while I'm laying down on the ground so that I don't get shot at.
It is normally the kind of reaction you would expect, but here we see the exact opposite. You hear the sound, boom, 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 and also it slows down. It's like, and that is not how automatic fire goes. It goes do 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 do. It's not do 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 do. That is not the mechanics of an automatic weapon, but that's what we hear here. We also see strobo lights, even in some of where you see the reporters standing on site hours afterwards. You can see in some of the windows, not at the 32nd floor, but you can see the strobo light.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like somebody's shooting there. And then you have all of these wonderful victims with, well, I was shot in the head, but I'm feeling fine now, so I'm going home.
That's good.
And, that's pretty good. And this guy he was shot 3 times in the chest. It was very dramatic. I'm just telling you, if he was shot with an automatic weapon, which would be boom, 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 like this, okay, because otherwise he would have gone down with the first, and then got the other 2 while lying down. But that was not the story. That distance with an automatic weapon, and you get a 3 shots within this area.
Very tough.
Good luck to repeat that one. Yeah. And then all of these things with the shoe symbolism. I mean, it's loaded. It's loaded. So I don't know if I somehow possibly partly explained.
You did. And we've got. Yeah. And that's, I mean, this is one of those topics where, as you know, because you've been doing this for a long, long time. I mean, it's how deep do you want to go? How far do you want to dig? Because there's a lot here. We've just scratched the surface here.
Charlie, I'm fine with if you want to add some time. I've got time. So if you
it's okay. It's okay because I've got a call that's coming up here in a couple of minutes. I don't want to keep you. I am going to want to have you come back on at another time on another day because this is. I mean, it's too good. I feel like lately we have watched them bring in the junior varsity team to some of these false flag events, meaning not the best and brightest. Maybe these are the people that are working out some sort of work release program that they got caught with a kilo of cocaine in their dorm room in college. And now they're working off some undercover deal for the feds where they have to pretend like they got shot at a at a country bar in Ventura or wherever you mentioned these. We're starting to see very sloppy play, but the real history of false flags is fascinating, and you've done great work on this. We'll get into the shoes and everything next time, but tell people where they can find you. How can they follow your work? How can they reach out to you? How can they support you?
First of all, I just want to point out that on January the 1st, in my newsletter and in multiple different interviews, I pointed out Capitol Hill next, and then boom, it happened on the 6th. So don't buy into the official story of what happened on Capitol Hill. My website is lightonconspiracies.com, conspiracies, because there's a lot more than one going on. And I'm on Patreon, same there, Light on Conspiracies. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on everywhere where I'm not being shut down, which is getting to fewer and fewer places, but because I'm being totally destroyed everywhere because of hate speech. It's part of my personality, apparently. Yeah.
You're very hateful.
And I've got a membership area. I've got a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. And in the archives, you can go in and see, this is where I said, I pointed out, that's when it happened. This is when I pointed out, that's when it happened. This is when I pointed out, that's when it happened. So it goes from bullshit into, this guy might be onto something, and that seems pretty credible. And then your own mind goes into the mode of, really, this is bizarre. And then when people start seeing it for themselves, and they say, but really, I mean, and then could this be? And then they see it happen. Boom, the spell is broken. And suddenly your eyes are aware of what's going on. And that is my intention, because I am pretty tired of all of these operations. But my intention is peace and how to lift the world to the next level of compassion, forgiveness, understanding, but absolute fearless exposure of these mad, horrific actions. I'm not judging the individuals as souls. I'm judging the actions. They can just fuck off and leave us alone and stop hurting people. So I'm not going to rest until that day comes. And I'm going to be an absolute pain in their butt, exposing every single step of their way. So if it's okay with you, Charlie, I would very much like to finish with a prayer.
As usual, you do, and let's do it.
Let's do it, because I'm not religious, because I think religion is very often, I'm not judging everybody, but it's often used as a control mechanism. I do not like that. Yep. But the prayer I love and live by goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. That is the entire, every single millimeter be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt us, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness. So victory to that light. Because I tell you, the bigger the assholes in your life, the better the teacher. They force us into evolving. They are pushing us into this whole thing. And it's only thanks to them that you and I met, Charlie. So I'm very grateful for that. So indirectly, I call them dark angels. I've even written a book called Remind Me how to change your mindset and let go of fear, and then just live a fearless, beautiful, creative life in difficult waters. Indirectly, on a spiritual level, we have to thank them, because they are helping us to evolve.
Well, I've had the pleasure to get to know you a little bit in Mexico. You are one of the good guys in this fight, for sure. There's much more for us to discover. Everybody, please go out and support Ole's work. Go to lightonconspiracies.com. That's LIGHT on conspiracies.com. Ole, you're the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And I say, doubt everything, question everything, and just follow your heart. Go from your mind to your heart. Boom.
Great advice. Thanks, everybody. Share this show. We know we're not going to get any help from the algorithms.